Hi, Emma. Thanks for joining me today for this chat about remote working. As someone who's both worked from home for a while and who started and runs a remote-first company, CHS Group, I'm excited to get your insights on how you best navigate remote working life. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions.
Absolutely.
All right, first question is, how long have you been working from home?
Wow, it's probably been over 10 years, sort of fully for the last 10 years. But even then, I had a business, I had an office the 10 years prior to that, but only, worked there sometimes. But I've always had a home office as well for over 20 years now. So more than used to it.
So what was the transition like switching from an office setting over 10 years ago to a home setting?
I think it's really just about being organized and knowing what kind of how you work, because some people like to have something completely separate to walk away from. Other people, for me it's kind of all, my home is my office kind of thing, and I don't mind that, not being able to separate it out. So for me personally, I see all the benefits in it, and of course there are some downsides that you need to manage, but it's just that thought of no commute. That's the biggest plus for me.
Yeah.
Is getting up in the morning, getting ready for work, and then going in, to my office or whichever part of the house I want to be in.
Yeah.
Today I'm in the dining room just for, shake it up a little bit. And yeah, just to have that kind of, that I used to travel before this, when I had a job, and it used to take me over an hour a day each way. So if
Wow.
you think that's like, it's probably about 2.5 hours a day in total. So if you do that 5 days a week, that's over 10 hours. It's over a day a week in the
Yeah.
car, and often stuck in traffic. It wasn't, on a good run, it would have been about 40 minutes, but
Yeah.
going in during rush hour. And I look back on that and I just think, I don't know how I did it. And I know I used to kind of be nodding off in the car on the way home, and having all those tricks like play the music loud and get the window wound down, or and back then you couldn't make a call, there was before car phones. So it's kind of just that whole commute. And I forget sometimes now, if I need to go somewhere during rush hour, I kind of think, oh, traffic, where did that come from? Because
Yeah.
I'm just not used to it. So yeah, and that's the biggest shift for me, is just not having to get in the car. And for someone who doesn't like driving anyway, I know some people love it and maybe they love that commute. I'm not a lover of driving, so that was an
Yes.
easy transition for me to make.
Makes sense. You also mentioned that there were some downsides. What was the biggest challenges you faced at the beginning working from home?
I think when it was just me, of course, then it's getting started. If I'm completely honest, on a morning, I'm more of a night owl, and I'm quite. If any of the listeners have heard about Ayurvedic way of life, and you kind of, for me, the way kind of I'm made up is that I can focus more in the evening than I can in the morning. So if I'm doing anything like budgeting, cash flow, project budgets, anything like that, I'm better doing them about 8-9 o'clock at night. And for some people, that's kind of like, I could not, and I could just get completely focused and completely into the numbers. And that's my most detailed work is better on an evening. But then I get really into it. So then I could be working till like midnight, 1 a.m, still kind of in work mode. So just the whole, if I'm honest, just getting out of bed in the morning, and when you do work from home, you can and you can work into the evening. It's like just that, and I don't struggle with distractions so much, but it's more that kind of getting yourself in the morning when that's not my best, most productive time of day has been my. But it's been like that for 20 years, so I kind of, rather than try and force myself to be a morning person, I just accept that I'm a night
Yeah.
person.
That could also be seen as a benefit of working from home. You're not forced to do work when your energy's low. You can
Yeah,
choose.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even that, as and I employ about 10 people, and my ethos has always been, it's, yes, it's good. Sometimes you have to be at your desk for 9 a.m. for meetings and what have you, that we've been using Zoom for meetings for years, and other products and what have you. But I'd rather people be productive, and if that is working on an evening. And it's also, we've had people who, particularly in the holidays, have a family, and they'd rather be with the family during the day, especially on glorious days like today.
Yeah.
The blinds have got to be shut because the sun is shining through and you wouldn't be able to see me. And the work, and some things can't be done. Some things have to be done, during office hours, if you like, or daylight hours. But if people get motivated at like midnight, I'd rather them be motivated than drag themselves into the detail at 8:30 in the morning kind of thing.
Exactly. Other than your commute and being able to work in the evenings, what other benefits have you found working from home? What are your favorite parts?
Yeah, I think for me, focus. The fact that you don't have somebody, oh, can I just ask you this? Or can I just,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, from an employer perspective, whilst you've got to kind of try and recreate those water cooler moments in a different way, you don't have them constant because, I used to work in an office and there's some people who didn't, maybe did 1 hour's day or, work a day because they just, were chatting constantly. And
Yeah.
I can't bear that as, not just as a boss, but I couldn't bear it when I was working for somebody else. And, even when we have meetings now, I'm kind of like, yeah, if you want to chat, come half an hour early and chat. The meeting starts at, 10:30 or what have you. So, so that's the biggest thing, is that the focus, team spirit, I know that the team recognise and feel it's a positive thing that I'm not, there at 9 a.m. asking them to be on a call or in a meeting or in the office kind of thing. There's a huge amount of trust within the team, and for me with the co-workers, and that, and a lot of people say to me, how do you know they're doing their job? I'm like, because things get done. It's kind of like, we're not just sat around, we don't turn up to an event and like there's nobody there kind of thing. So I know that people, especially, our team, work incredibly hard, and sometimes incredibly long hours. I do not need to be breathing down their neck asking if they're, if they're doing their job kind of thing. So, and I think the benefits of trusting your team like that have other benefits at work as well. So, because I don't think we tend to trust people in one thing and then not the other. You trust them or you don't kind of thing. So that high level of trust is really good. The focus, you get through way more work. I'm sure that if we all worked in an office, we'd be half as productive.
Yeah.
So that productivity is really good. And there are benefits, around, one of them is a cost saving. So we don't have an office. And it means that when we do get together, we can put a little bit of budget into making that a great activity and having dinner and all that kind of stuff. But also for the team, they don't have to, buy lunch in a coffee shop or a canteen. They don't have to spend money on petrol getting to work. They don't have, they have that, the time at the end of the day is the time you can finish and switch off, and you haven't then got that, that long commute like I was saying earlier. So there's so many benefits, but I would say mainly around productivity, focus, and the cost savings as well.
Right. And I know a lot of people like working in an office because of that social setting that you mentioned, the water cooler moments. So people who are transitioning to working from home now, how would you say you can incorporate some of those social elements into your work life?
Yeah, I think, because we're an events business, so we do get together. It's not that we never see each other.
Yeah.
So anybody who's been to a CHS event, it's always a bit of a celebration. And it's because us as a team, we're really excited to see everybody.
True.
So we like to put a party element in. And that's maybe why, maybe that's why we're so good at throwing work parties. But also, so you have to do it in a team sense. So especially now during lockdown, we last week had afternoon tea where I sent the team little afternoon tea gift boxes, and we could all just enjoy afternoon tea together. There's other things, obviously, pizza nights we can do, and cocktail nights and all that kind of thing. But also I would encourage people not to look to their employers to be the source of that support. So I also have, with a few industry pals, Wine Club Wednesday, and that's just all where a few, there's a group of women, we're there to build each other up and to support each other and just to be that community. So when someone's I've never spent so much time in front of my laptop, talking to my laptop, doing, meetings, things like this, webinars for people, interviews. And sometimes, although right now it's still by Zoom, but we're getting together. We have, it's Wine Club Wednesdays. We're having a glass of wine and we're just chatting for about an hour and a half with the girls. It's, so I would, say, obviously, hopefully soon we'll be able to do that physically and go out and spend time with friends and family and what have you. It's unfortunate at the moment we do have to do it online, but I would say make sure that you, if you're I'm the kind of person, I get my energy from being with other people, but equally right now I'm enjoying the lockdown. I'm enjoying the fact that I've got a lot of time to focus and think about strategy, as opposed to running around the country having meetings and what have you. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about what a day in your life looks like. Let's talk about pre-lockdown and then now post-lockdown. So let's start with pre-lockdown.
Yeah, so I guess I would either have one of two types of day. So on the rare occasions that I'm at home, that's the time when I can, get through emails, get through, things I need to do, catch up with the team, have meetings. We always have Monday meetings. So each team has a Monday meeting on the morning. I have a leadership meeting on the afternoon. So anything any blockers that the team have or anything they need me for, that all gets fed through, and then I get to know what's happening for the rest of the week. And so that's kind of, my Mondays are always structured like that. And so that's, a good day. But then other days I could be traveling for 3 or 4 days solid. So I'm a brilliant packer because I can do it in minutes of knowing exactly what needs to go into my bag and thinking about how many, social things there might be, or how many work things, and how many, what things can I wear jeans at and what things do I need to wear a dress at. And one thing I love is actually wanting to get the train to London, because I've got 2 hours on a train where I can just put my head down. I'm not a talker on the train, and just plough through work. So I love a commute in that sense when I'm not physically driving, because I can really, I have in my diary, 2 hours on the train, what will I achieve in that 2 hours? I'd be so productive if I just got the train to London and back every day. 4 hours on the train, I wouldn't need to work anywhere else. I'd just get everything done in those 4 hours. So I could be travelling, not necessarily to London, to anywhere in the country, occasionally overseas, but mainly for me in the UK. And then it's, back-to-back meetings. So it could be where I'm in one place and people come to see me, or it could be that I'm, going to events, going to meetings, etc. I do a lot of training and development and masterminds and things. I could be going to something like that. So it tends to be one of two, either at home ploughing through stuff, or traveling around, meeting people, going to events, etc., and get a lot of energy from that in terms of meeting people. And I guess one, it's kind of strategy, and also, the focus time is around strategy. Then the other time is around making things happen when I'm in meetings or at events or what have you.
And now that you can't meet people in person and go to events, what does it look like now?
It's kind of, it's funny how the days are, because as I've said before, I'm not a morning person, so I'm not getting out of bed at 8 o'clock and doing my yoga. I'm kind of getting out of bed when I wake up, and I commend anybody who is doing that. And it tends to, today for example, from 11 o'clock onwards, so before 11 it was checking emails and catching up on things, and I've been back to back either in meetings on Zoom, or I did a webinar for Stress Matters at 12ish, just had another call about another, planning. We're doing this now, and then I'm on a webinar later, and then it'll be time for a glass of gin, I think. It's kind of, that tends to be my daily routine. It's sat in front of my computer all day. Anytime it's a phone call as opposed to Zoom, I'm in the garden trying to get some
That's
sun,
good.
make the most of the sunshine at the moment. And then come the evening, it's like, it's exhausting. It's more, I'm finding it personally more tiring doing this, having back-to-back meetings on video, than it is actually being out, getting to meetings. I'm finding myself, I'm having a good kind of 9 hours sleep a night at the moment, as my
Yeah.
body's kind of, I think it's trying to go into hibernation as I do less every day. So yeah, and then it's like anybody is just trying to, and then do some things like my wine club Wednesday, having virtual dinner parties, spending time, I mean, Easter weekend, people were kind of complaining because they wanted to go out. I was like, the sun was shining. I think I'd be doing this anyway, laid in the garden, catching some rays, listening to music and doing a bit of reading, because I wouldn't want to be driving to a packed beach or what have you. So I think mentally it's just getting your head around the fact that would you generally be doing something different right now?
Yeah.
Really, really helps, and for me, just waking up in the same bed every day is, I'm used to being in hotels. I'm used to waking up and thinking, right, what's today? Which part of the country am I in? Which hotel am I in? Just waking up and knowing where I am is quite a nice, it's a nice routine, even though for some people they have that all the time.
Right. And so with all the traveling that you used to do, how did you manage to work remotely? What tips do you have for working remotely while traveling?
Whilst traveling, I think for me, it's compartmentalizing my time. So it's thinking through my day and making the most of that travel time. My business coach once said to me, just go on a flight every now and then if you've got lots of work to do. It's not the most practical thing, and it's definitely not practical now. But there you've got no Wi-Fi, unless you're up in first class, and then you get the Wi-Fi. But no, it's kind of, on the train, that focused time. So it's kind of, if I'm traveling to London or anywhere, I'll think, right, I've got so long to get this done. Then I might be on the underground or what have you, where you pretty much can't do anything. Then you might get to a meeting and you're having that meeting. Then you might have a bit of a gap. So you're thinking, right, what am I going to do then? And then you've got to think about, if it is doing video calls, where can you do them? So I'm quite good at hunting out places, that I'm sure we all are to a degree. You need somewhere with ideally a plug socket. You need somewhere that's remotely kind of, you can pull back and sit, so hotel lobbies with a plug socket and where you're not on top of each other, like a cafe, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then finding places that don't have music blaring, because that's part of their ambience kind of thing. So finding somewhere just quiet enough to do a call, or even just to think. It might not be because you're on the phone, just to have that thinking time. Then it's things like, you might check into a hotel and, plan that into your day if you've got more work to do, because that's a great place to be able to set up your laptop and do some work before your next activity kind of thing. And then also I think, there's that well-being element of it, when you're traveling, because you can't always eat well, so you've got to really think about what you're eating. If you're going, we're in the events world, there's often going out on the evenings, so social activities has an impact. So just trying to and sometimes, if I'm away all week, I will plan to spend the weekend not doing anything and not feeling guilty about that, of just thinking, what, I'm gonna lay on the sofa and watch cooking programs all day Saturday, because that's actually what I think I'm quite good at, listening to my body. And when it's kind of starting to scream, will you please slow down and stop being on, running around frantically everywhere. Don't feel guilty about just having those days of doing absolutely nothing.
You need that rest.
Yeah, absolutely. I once heard a saying that if you wreck your body, where you're going to live. And it's kind of, we do. It's a good way of thinking about it. It's like, I've got all these life plans, and where am I going to live if my body can't keep up with them, kind of thing.
So working from home, do you ever find yourself battling distractions, and how do you manage them?
I don't do too badly, because I live on my own, so I don't have kids running around or people coming in. I'm quite good if people ring me, if family ring me, because I think people be realizing now that people think if you're working from home that you're not actually working, so they can just pop around, or they can just drop a call. It's like, so I've been known to not answer the door, even if I think it's family and friends, or just not pick up the phone. I might drop a text and say I'm good, I'll speak later, kind of thing. But I'm quite good at just kind of saying no to the distractions. But also then accepting that there are benefits if I do want to, do the washing or what have you. There's no point in leaving it until I get home just for the sake of the fact that I'm at work. If there's something that I want to do through the day, I'll build it in. So there's times when I'm working from home and I might, obviously less so at the moment, but it might be that I kind of can't get focused, or I'm kind of thinking, or I get myself into a bit of a funk about something. And I think, right, laptop in the backpack, walk into town. For me, it's a 30-minute walk, and that it's my exercise, because when I walk back, it's a full hour of quite good walking, and then I'll just go and work in a hotel lobby or a cafe bar or bar sometimes. I've got my favourites kind of around the city where I live. And it's just enough, that 30-minute walk, as opposed to just put the TV on and thinking, I'll just have a break and what have you. And, and I think it's getting your own, accepting that sometimes you might need a distraction and not beating yourself up about it, so long as you're not doing more distraction activity than physical work activity. Yeah.
So do you find switching up your space and where you work helps you?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if it's about kind of working for myself. So there's, to a degree, I'm never kind of not working. I'm always thinking about stuff or getting ideas. So, sometimes I just want to sit on the sofa with my laptop and work. There's sometimes I want to sit at the dining room table. I've been known to, on a morning, get my laptop out. If there's something urgent comes in on my phone that I need to do, but I'm not quite motivated, I'll sit in bed on my laptop, and then before you know it's 11 a.m. and I'm rushing for a shower. Working from but in fact my desk at home is just piles of books and papers and things. I couldn't physically sit at it at the moment.
Okay.
So for me, I like to have a change of scenery and work in different places.
Right.
Other people like to get focused and know that when I'm in this specific room or area, that's when I'm working, and when I'm away from that, I'm not. I think it's finding your own preferences, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you created CHS Group and you made the decision to run it remotely, how did you come to that decision? What factors were you considering? Were you ever considering running it in an office?
I think we evolved, really. So I was working for myself. I was doing a bit of freelance work, so I was going into somebody else's office to do some work whilst I built up the company. And then it kind of where I had somebody come and do a bit of admin for me who didn't live near me, so just work from home. And then a couple of other people joined the business, and it was like, well, I haven't actually got an office. And then it's evolved over time, and now that there's 10 of us, we've got people working all over the world, all over the UK. And for me, I'd rather have the best people that can do the job wherever in the world they are than looking at a geographical location near my office and saying, right, who's the best from the pool within a amount of mile radius. So I'd like to think that I've got, an amazing team, and I've got the right team, and it doesn't matter where they live. I think you're restricted if you have a geographical location. That might not be the case for big cities, for example, if you're in London. But I think a remote workforce is a great way of getting the best labour, getting the best team around you.
So what are your tips for hiring people remotely? How do you know that they'll do a good job working from home?
Yeah, I think part of it is down to our recruitment process. And part of that is also, there's two sides to our recruitment process. And we've got quite a thorough process in how we recruit people. And the first part of it is it's a questionnaire, online questionnaire they need to complete. And that is really, it's nothing at all to do with their capabilities. We don't even open their CV before this happens. And it's all about culture. So we have some questions in there, not just about remote working, but it's all about, does this person fit with our culture?
Okay.
So, and one of the questions in there is, what are the pros and cons of a remote workforce? So it doesn't ask specifically, how do you feel about working from home? Because don't forget, it's a recruitment process. So we don't want people to tell us what we think, what they think we want to hear. So it's like, what are the pros and cons? And that, it's very interesting. The responses we get is that tells us very, very quickly if people get it. And not so much get it, want it, because it's not for everybody. There's some people who would, say absolutely hate working from home and wouldn't want to work for you on that basis. And that's absolutely fine. So that's the first part of it. Once people kind of pass that part, then we start to look at the CVs, and that's when we look at the sort of sense of the capability side of, are they capable of doing the job? And then when it comes to the telephone interview, that's a little bit about culture as well. So we can dig a little bit deeper around, asking people, have they ever worked from home before? What did they love about it? What did they hate about it? So that's more conversational, and we can pick up there, are there any kind of red flags around, can this person really work from home? And then we get to the physical interview, and again, there's obviously, as it goes down, it does get more about capability, because we do all the culture bit up first, and our remote workforce is part of our company culture. So it's just about, and it's not only for us, it's for them as well. We don't want people to come and work for us and then hate the thought of being stuck on their own all day, and they're not, we get out, we have to do, we all have meetings, we don't, we all go to things, we all go to events. So it's not that everyone's at home day in, day out in a kind of a, telesales environment. It's switched up anyway, but we need to make sure that they're not going to go crazy working for us.
Did you have any worries about running CHS Group remotely at first?
I don't think it ever really occurred to me. It's been over 10 years now.
Yeah.
There are times when I think, it'd be nice to have an office, but now it's almost kind of too late because we have people. We never be able to, and even when we all get together we do get together quarterly for a couple of days and meet, and as well as all the events that we do. We encourage co-working, so if you do live nearby somebody or you want to meet in the middle. So yeah, we have, we try and do what we can to kind of get people together, either on video or in person, but I don't think it would benefit. I can't see a time where we move to having an office and having everybody in the office. I think the people who work in the company now, they'd be quite reluctant to have to be in a set place at 9 o'clock every morning.
It's hard going from remote back to office.
I think that's harder than going from office to remote.
Oh yeah. I've done it before.
Yeah. If you love remote working, then I think that you're going to find it, even now, find it hard to go back when the lockdown's over, to kind of having to get back to some people will love it. Some people will be there, 7 a.m. knocking on the door trying to get in. Other people will be like, oh wow, I've got to go to the office now. So I think we're going to see a huge shift in, not maybe 100%, might be a bit of a hybrid in terms of office days, and I think there's a lot of employers who've been naturally against remote working because they have a belief that's right for them. I'm not saying it's not a good belief that people need to be in the office, but once they spend enough time doing this and realise that the ideas still get generated, people still get excited by ideas, there's ways we can communicate off the cuff and what have you, as well as more formal. I think there'll be a lot more people shifting to a more remote workforce.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be more flexible options for people.
Yeah, and maybe you're right there, Jenna. It's maybe the flexibility that we'll move towards, as opposed, people might not go towards a full-on, right, this is going to be it. This is how we work now, get rid of the office, etc. Yeah. But I think they might get more flexibility in the workplace.
Yeah. Last question. How do you find struggling strategy, operations, and your work-life balance?
It can be very difficult, actually. And this is what you asked me earlier about the distraction. The biggest distraction actually for me is emails coming in, because I can't bear my inbox being sort of overwhelming. So if I'm focused on strategy, I have to force myself, just put my emails, close the email window and not look. And that temptation to just quickly answer something, or, and it's your brain can't switch that quickly. We like, there's no such thing as multitasking. You're doing one thing and switching quickly back and forth, so it's kind of a myth that you can do that. So I like to, and things like before, if I'm on a train, I'm like, right, that's 2 hours if this is what I'm going to achieve. We do practical things. So we have a team Facebook group where anyone can say, I'm focusing on something. I'm not going to, if it's urgent, text me, but if it's not, if the building isn't metaphorically burning down, I need, sometimes it can be a couple of days, sometimes it can be a couple of hours where you can say, I just need to really focus. And I think what's been great about CHS Group this last few weeks is that I've had to say to the team, this is really key. I need to focus on strategy more now than ever. Go to your line managers and please don't, keep emails to a minimum for me. Keep that contact. If you need an answer, Julie will give you it. And if she can't, she'll get it, get it from me for you. And they've been great at just giving me that space to think creatively, do what needs to be done in terms of, the crisis management element of it and all of that. So that's been great. From that sense, I'm very grateful that they've given me that time. But I think it's kind of just chunking up your time. If you find it hard to focus all day on one thing, don't focus all day on one thing. Allocate time and maybe go somewhere so that you're saying, right, if I'm going to do lots of emails, if I get a bit overwhelmed, I think, right, I'm actually going to go somewhere and I'm not going to leave there until I've emptied on my inbox. And I will just, and then I'm like, I want to go home, or, so I'm kind of, 10 to the dozen kind of working through
That's
them.
a really good idea.
Yeah, because, and operationally, I'm good that I've got a really strong operations team, so I don't really get involved. It's more direction about stuff. But again, I think for me, it's that chunking of time. I'll be, so after we've done this, I've got something else in just under an hour. So that would be, I'll get 30 minutes of plowing through some, getting back to people who I need to speak to kind of thing. I won't start a big project when I've only got 30 minutes. Whereas other times I might block out, call them like grey days sometimes, where I'm just blocked out and you just, the world is not, will not pick up the phone, will not answer emails, because I just have to think. It's not even around writing strategy. It's just having that time to ask yourself really big what if questions, and or it might just be to read, a business book that will ask some very deep questions, and just to sort of give myself time to think about the answers, as opposed to just read the book and get on to the next project, if you like. So yeah, chunking of time and going places. One great tip that I use weekly, and I do share with the CHS team, is a tip that I was given, goodness, must have been 15, 20 years ago, by a motivational speaker called Tony Wilson. And it's kind of called 21 squares. So we refer it to as, have you done your 21 squares? And it's actually about work-life balance. And I find it beneficial. How I use it is to not feel overwhelmed when I've got a huge amount of things to do. So you get a piece of paper and you divide it up into 21 squares, and you've got across is 7 and 3 down. So you've got Monday to Sunday, and you've got the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. And from a work-life balance perspective, the idea is that you first start by putting in the stuff that's important to you that's not related to work. So for example, Tuesday evenings, unless I'm traveling, I go have Cuban salsa lessons. So that's important to me that I have that in my weekly plan, if you like, that doesn't get thrown out of the window. For other people, it might be that is the kids' football match that I have to go and see. That is, my partner's special, something that's happening, but, or date night or gym, to make sure that you do actually not get to the end of the day and go, oh, I didn't get a chance to do any exercise. You might plan in the things that are important to you that aren't work. And then in the other boxes, you can start to put in your work stuff. So if I've got maybe 30, 40 things on my to-do list, I'll start to plot them into the boxes. And then you realise that you've actually only got 3 or 4 things per box. You think, right, I've got all morning to do those 3 or 4 things. Obviously a strategy thing, you might write, Wednesday afternoon, I'm switching off and I'm going to go somewhere and work on strategy, etc., etc. It doesn't always work out like that, but then it means that if you've got a choice to make, so if somebody says, oh, do you fancy going for a drink after work, but you had that sectioned off for doing your emails, you can look at it and go, yeah, I've got an empty box there. I would always advise having a few empty boxes as the week goes on, because you'll never get through everything. So you can go, yeah, I can make that choice because I can move that box to that box and I've got some time to do something. Or if you want to, spend time in the garden or what have you. And I find that a really good planning tip, to know that you've got enough time in the week to do everything. And that's how you know if you're overworked, if you're genuinely overworked. If you've got all of your 21 squares all relating to work, you know you're heading for a heart attack kind of a thing. And so it's about being flexible, but it's great for knowing that you're going to build in that me time or family time or friend social time or fitness time. And it's also great for not feeling overwhelmed, because you know the idea that you know you can have so much to do, and you can also worry right now. You know, we could spend all day worrying about the future, but if you can think about what do I have to do right now in this moment, I only have to focus on this box. And once that box is done, I can move to the other box. So that's my top tip for remote working and getting stuff done.
I think we have a template on the CHS blog for the 21 squares, so I'll link to that in the description of the YouTube version of this video, so everyone can use this tip and try it out for themselves.
Absolutely, it works. Trust me.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for answering these questions about remote working and running a remote first company. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this, Emma.
You're very welcome. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.